The chandeliers trembled as if reacting to the gasp that rippled across the ballroom. Every head turned toward the massive golden doors as they opened, and for a moment, even the orchestra forgot how to breathe. There she was. A woman no one recognized at first. A silhouette of poise, wrapped in sapphire silk, moving as though the world had once tried to break her, but failed miserably. And at the far end of the red carpet, the millionaire who invited her, expecting to laugh at her, felt the blood drain from his face. Because the woman in the blue gown wasn't supposed to look like this. She wasn't supposed to shine. She wasn't supposed to belong. And yet, she owned the room. If you believe every story hides a lesson, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Pawsitive Tales so more stories like this can find you. But the night didn't begin with glitter, diamonds, or golden doors. It began hours earlier, in a dim supply closet that smelled of lemon soap and old mops. Maria wiped her hands on a fraying cloth, her knuckles stinging from scrubbing marble floors polished by people who never looked down at them. The world rarely looked at Maria, except when it needed something. Except when it wanted someone to clean up its mess. She had worked in the mansion for 5 years, invisible, quiet, and grateful for hours no one else wanted. But gratitude had limits. Respect did too. The millionaire, Adrian Beaumont, he liked to call himself a philanthropist, hardly remembered Maria's name. He spoke to her with a tone reserved for malfunctioning appliances or lost pets. And when his annual charity gala approached, he conceived what he called a little joke. He invited Maria to attend as a special guest, whispering loud enough for his friends to hear, "Let's see how the maid handles crystal and couture." His circle chuckled. They always chuckled. Without thinking, Maria bowed her head and said yes. She always said yes. But a strange thing happened the moment she walked away. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with something she hadn't felt in years. A pulse inside her chest. A spark. She didn't know what it meant until she stood in front of her small mirror at home hours later, watching her reflection under a flickering bulb. The woman staring back wasn't weak. She wasn't small. She was exhausted, yes, but not defeated. And when her neighbor, an elderly seamstress who had watched Maria grow up, knocked on her door with a dust-covered garment bag and a soft smile, Maria finally understood. Sometimes the world doesn't give dignity. Sometimes you have to arrive with your own. The dress she wore now, a deep royal blue that hugged her as if stitched from courage, had been meant for another woman years ago, but life had never given that woman the chance to wear it. Tonight, life was giving it to Maria. And when she entered the millionaire's ballroom, she didn't walk with borrowed confidence. She walked with earned silence, the kind that makes people forget to blink. Adrian Beaumont's smirk faltered the moment Maria stepped into the light. He had prepared a whole performance in his mind, her awkwardness, her confusion, her clumsy steps. But she glided like a secret he'd never bothered to notice. The guests, trained to mimic Adrian's cues, didn't know how to react. Some stared. Others whispered. A few smiled, genuine, surprised, almost proud. Maria felt their eyes, but for the first time in years, she didn't shrink under them. She walked past the velvet ropes, past faces that once seemed higher than mountains, until she stopped in front of Adrian. His expression was a cocktail of disbelief, irritation, and something more fragile, shame creeping in like a slow dawn. He opened his mouth to regain control, but Maria didn't give him the chance. She didn't humiliate him. She didn't challenge him. She simply nodded with a quiet grace that made him realize he had been trying to diminish a woman whose dignity he never even bothered to understand. The night carried on, but something in the air shifted. Maria wasn't the spectacle he wanted. She became the mirror he feared. People gravitated toward her, curious about the woman who walked like a memory they had forgotten, like the version of themselves before life taught them arrogance. The orchestra played softer whenever she passed, as if trying to match her aura. Even the chandeliers seemed to glow a little differently. And Adrian? He watched from a distance. Alone, despite being surrounded. He watched the cleaner he intended to mock shine brighter than his wealth ever had. He watched her speak with the elderly donors, smile at the servers, and thank the staff he ignored. And with every moment, he felt something unfamiliar, the ache of someone seeing themselves clearly for the first time. Later that night, Maria stepped onto the balcony overlooking the city lights, breathing in the cool air like it belonged to her again. She wasn't thinking of revenge. She wasn't thinking of proving anything. She was thinking of her mother's hands, the seamstress's kindness, and the simple truth that people become extraordinary not when the world invites them, but when they decide to show up anyway. Adrian approached her quietly, words caught in his throat. But Maria didn't need them. She already had what she came for, not validation, but visibility. She existed. She mattered. And she walked away before he could speak, leaving him with the weight of a moment he would never forget. If this story made your heart feel something, anything, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Pawsitive Tales. Before we end, tell me in the comments, what moment hit you the hardest? And with the echoes of the ballroom fading behind her, Maria stepped into the night, carrying nothing but her own light, yet somehow, it was enough to outshine everything she left behind.